Hi guys, it's Sherry. So today we are going to be working on a glass mug, and this is going to be slightly different than what I have showed you in the past. So once again, I am using a clear glass mug, and I am using my silk screen, and this time I am using this gorgeous cactus silk screen from Create Along. I just purchased this not too long ago, and I have been racking my brain on what I want to do with this because I loved it so much. I want to make it special. So I'll show you my sketch in a minute. But then I am also using all my different cactus clay cutters. All right. So make sure you have some different ones. But I kind of drew up a different type of glass mug I want to do. So the inside is going to be one way and the outside is going to be another way. So I cannot wait to show you this. We are going to be doing a lot of blending as well. So make sure you have all your different color clays out. So I have my red Primo clay. Get any dirt off of that. I want that dirt off. Okay. So I have my red Primo clay. I have a tiny bit of my pomegranate left, so I will be using that as well. And then I have my orange, and this is like a different color orange. So we are just using lots and lots of colors, okay? And then some yellow. So the first thing we're going to want to do is just condition our clays and kind of get them prepped and ready. So I'm going to roll these all out and make sure everything is conditioned and ready to go. All right, guys, so I have all my stuff rolled out. So my next step is to get my triangle cutter. All right, so I'm going to use my square. I'm going to get my square cutter. And I am just going to cut out some of these here. So you can see I have regular red. And I have like a pinkish color here. I have my darker red. I really want to make this piece, when I blend it, I want to give it a desert look. So that's what I'm going for. So I am just going to cut these right in half. Nothing has to be perfect. Okay, so I'm going to blend these together. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. And then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so that's the start of it. So in order to do this, what you are going to do is you are going to take your piece and you are going to run it through the machine like this. And then let me show you quickly. And then you will just continue doing that until it's blended fairly well. I'm going to do this only about 10 times because I have something else that I'm going to be doing. Okay, so now you can see that pink is starting to come through. So now I am just going to put these pieces together like this. I'm going to roll that slightly. Make sure they are nice and stuck together. Then I am going to take my darker red, the pomegranate, and just start putting little slices throughout this piece. Okay, so now run that through your pasta machine just like that, and your piece will look like this. Now I am going to blend it like this. So I want that red to be on the outside. Okay, so now you can see we have like all the different reds and pink streaks, all right? Now we are going to take our orange. We'll cut that in half. I'll throw some right in there, it doesn't matter. And we will take our yellow, cut this in half. I am just going to, and nothing is perfect on here. Don't worry about it. Just stick all your stuff together here. Okay, So now I am going to run this through my pasta machine just like that. And then you'll have this, and then just pull it back up the same as you did with this one. Okay, so now this is what we have. So I'm going to take this and this, and I am going to mush these together as well. And like I said, none of this has to be perfect because we are making the background like a scenery. So, and now I will run this through my pasta machine. All right, so this is what we have so far. So my next step is I am going to get thin slices of my yellow. And I am just going to place different yellows, or different slices of my yellow. And then I'm going to get thin slices of my red, the pomegranate red, the darker red. And these are going to be tiny pieces. I'm actually going to take some of this orange, kind of slap that up here as well. I just want this all to blend real nice together. Okay, so now I'm going to run this through my pasta machine, and I want to make sure that this is on the outside. So when I fold it, it's going to be like that. Okay, so that's what we have so far. And I really like that. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of my yellow. And we could just do little tiny pieces because we don't want a lot. We just want those little tiny streaks coming through. And that's going to give us a really cool like desert theme. And just a tiny bit of red as well. All right, so now let me run that through. Okay, so I have that blended fairly well. Look how beautiful that looks. I mean, that came out really, really nice. I really like those little streaks. So I want to just do that one more time with this. Perfect. So now I am going to take this down and I'm going to stretch this completely out until I have one really long piece. So I want this to be able to cover my entire cup. So I'm going to take it down one notch and then another notch and another notch. So it's going to be right on my middle section of my pasta machine. Okay, so this is actually on my third thinnest setting. Let me get all this out of the way. So I just want to make sure that I will be able to wrap my cup completely in this. Yes, okay. Because you always want to make sure you have enough of your clay. All right, so I am going to trim up this little section here, right here. Okay, so I'm just going to cut it right here at the edge. Keep this because you may need it for something else later. And then I will cut this as well. All right, so my next step is to get my cactus silkscreen, and I am going to put this all the way across. So I'm not breaking it up like I normally would with my other ones. This is going to be one solid sheet. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse this out right away. Okay, so I have to wait till this dries to do my next scene because I want this right up against that because I want this to be a continuing thing. So I'm actually going to get my hair dryer, dry this, and then just repeat. And so when I repeat, I am going to lay this little edge part over my black paint so it is continued over. So let me do that and then we will come back. All right, guys, so my piece is completely done with the silk screen. I think it came out absolutely gorgeous. I love how the colors are. This is so perfect for our desert theme. So my next step is I am actually just going to put this off to the side and we will start working on our cactuses. Okay, so for our cactus, we are going to be doing different blends. So once again, I will take this and I'm going to condition it, roll it out. I'm going to do the same thing with this. Brown is going to come into play later. I have a dark green, a light green. This is like an orange brown color. So we're going to use a little bit of that. I also have mint. And then this is just scrap. So I'm going to kind of blend this and see what we get out of that as well. So if you have any green scraps, bring them out and let's play with them when it comes to the cactus part. And then I have all of this as well. So I'm going to blend this together and we will see what we get. So condition all your pieces and then we will come back. Okay. All right, guys, so you can see all my clay is rolled out. These two were my blended ones and I really like the colors. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to blend some more. So I have my square cutter and I am actually going to take one of my blended ones and my darker green here. And I am just going to take those. I'm going to cut them in half and lay them on top of each other like I did in before, and with the reds and the pinks and stuff like that. And then we will lay these together, mush them together, and then roll this through our pasta machine until they are blended really nice together. Okay, so that's the color that we got. And now I want to take a little bit of my lighter green. And I know I do things I know I do things differently than other people, but this is kind of how I like to play around and do my blending. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of my yellow. Just need a little bit. And I'm going to blend that to give it a little bit lighter color as well. So now I will run this through my pasta machine long ways. All right, so now we have a lighter green, which I like this color more than the other one. And you can see that it's more like a cactus green. So we'll put that one off to the side. And now we're going to take this, get 2 of these and 2 of these. I'll put this off to the side for a minute. And put that one off to the side as well. And I just want to do a couple swipes. I'm not going to blend this completely yet. Okay, so you can see I just did that 3 times. So now I am going to get a bunch of my colors, and I'm going to add them here. And we'll get a little bit of mint green in there as well. Okay, so now let's start blending all that together. Okay, now you can see we have those little bit of stripes. So we'll put that off to the side. My next step is we are going to get a bunch of stripes here. And when I am doing my, what do you call it? When I am running my blends through my pasta machine, they are always on my thickest setting. This one, I am not going to over blend. I'm actually going to take this darker one, and I'm going to put these right on top of here. That'll be my base. And you can see I'm not doing any specific way. I'm just kind of laying these out and kind of just having fun with them. So nothing's perfect. Nothing's a certain length or size. We just lay them out, and we want that straight look. Let's go with dark again. All right, so now I'm going to roll this through and blend this a few times. So this is one run through, one pass. So I can see that's going to be a lot of yellow. I don't want that much yellow. So I am actually going to take a green strip and put it right in the middle. And then run it through again. So that's what we got. And now I will fold it and start blending it. And there is our stripe. Now I'm going to take this green and my mint green. And I'm going to blend these together till they start getting a nice blend. Okay, so you can see how it goes lighter and then to the darker. So stop there when you see that. And then one last one. This is going to be a stripe one as well. This is going to be more uniformed. And then I'm going to take my dark green, do thin slices, and put those right in between every other one. And then I will take my yellow. I don't want that thick. I want a very little bit of yellow. And put those right in the middle. And now I will roll these through my pasta machine. And then we have that stripe pattern. All right, so all our pieces are ready for our cactuses. So we will put these all off to the side here, and then we will cover our glass. And then after our glass, we will start making our cactuses and our mountains. Okay. So get that. I want to clean the outside of my glass here. Okay. So carefully lift up your clay. You gotta be real careful because this is thin clay. I will actually start it right there. Hold on. Get hot. Okay. Oops. I'm doing this wrong. We have to lift it all up. All right. So now we need to work backwards. All right. So set your piece on. I want that I want to make sure that orange is on this glass. So I want to lift this up a bit, as I really like the orange and yellow, and I feel like that is really going to make my piece. So I want to make sure that no matter what, that is on my glass. If you have a little tear, push it together and then rub it. And then you're going to want to try to keep this straight if possible. Because it's going to want to move and go in different directions. So we are going to want to keep, I'm going off of this line the best that I can to keep it somewhat level. And then I can straighten everything out afterwards. So just watch how I am pulling everything and leveling it all out. You gotta watch for air bubbles. Okay, now we are getting to the end of our handle. Oops, see that tore? So we need to fix that the best that we can. And then I am going to get my blade and kind of carefully set that down. I'm going to lay that out because we need to reuse this. So make sure that stays nice. All right, so the first thing I want to work on is getting everything nice and smooth. So we want to pull. If you have any tears, fix those. I'm going to cut that straight. And this has to be cut straight as well. All right. Trim the top off. And all you have to do is just take your blade and go right over the top. And just, I'm going to trim that since it didn't cut nicely. Okay. Now I want to work here and get my bottom taken care of nicely. Let me get my cutter. Get that out of there. I want to smooth this all out because that looks terrible. Okay, so now we have, look how gorgeous that inside looks. Absolutely stunning. So beautiful. So now we have to do this little section and we got to do the top. So I want to work on, I want to make sure I have my bottom cut out first. And I really want to focus on more of the yellow area for that. And always clean the glass first so you don't have all that yucky coming through. And just carefully set that on there. And then you will push those pieces together. And all I'm doing is blending it to make sure that it stays nice and secure. I want this to become one piece of clay. All right, so now I have this section here. So what I like to do is kind of measure using my clay. So I'm going to take my widest area. I will cut that off. And that will give me the length that I need. And then I know it will taper down from there. So I'll take my clay, lay it up against Oh, I gotta clean my glass. Try to match up that orange with the other orange. And then just smooth it out so it all gets connected. Get your X-Acto knife out, and we are going to cut right where that handle is. And just pull it down into place. If you press, you can see where the line is, so I will just carefully follow that, and then I could take that off, and then just press them together, and we can smooth it out in a minute. And let's get this part. All right, I'm going to take my blending tool and just blend this all nicely together. And pull that down. All right, so now we have to fix that area because that did not go as planned. It basically came right off. So I know that ripped from this section here. So let's see, how do I want to do this? Goes this way. So I am just going to lay that piece right on there. And I'm going to feel right where that edge stops. I want to follow it. Take that off. Let's follow our handle. And follow that as well. So basically you are just feeling around how to piece this together if that happens. And then I just want to cut this little section off so that could be blended nicely. And then just take your tool and blend everything nicely together. Don't worry about if the outside doesn't look pretty right now, because it will when we are finished. Look how gorgeous the inside looks though. I mean, absolutely stunning. So beautiful. So my next step is to do the handle. So I like to take my clay once again. I will do a straight cut, and then I will wrap my clay around, and then I know how wide my clay needs to be. First, I want to see if I will have, oops. See if I have enough here to do that, and I do not. So this may be a piece together piece. Let's see. So I know this is the size that I need, right? Is this the one? No. Is it? No. This is the one. This one. This is the one. Let me make sure I'm losing it. I don't know what I do with it. So this is the one I know I need. Okay. Okay, so I am going to take these clays and I am going to run them through my pasta machine to give me what I need. Basically, I tried to roll out the extra pieces, but with the black ink, it showed through right away, so that was a no-go. So I just took my pink clay and my red clay and kind of mixed it all together again through my pasta machine. So that's what I will be working with. So I am going to take, oops, my knife, and I'm going to cut my pieces. And I know I need a nice straight edge. And I will wrap that around. I know I will not need all of that, so let me cut that off. And put that on. And you're going to stretch your clay till it goes to the bottom. And then start pulling it in. I first want to connect my top here. So I know that's nice and secure and will not go anywhere. Cut on an angle like that. And then push in, and you can leave these out for right now. And I'm going to push in one side here. And that's a lot of extra clay there, so I can take this and just kind of cut up. Oh, it's kind of hard to hold. I'm going to trim that all off. There we go. And then push it in. Okay, so you can see we have a lot of extra clay right here. And I am just going to trim that off. There we go. And I have a lot of extra right there, so I want to cut that off as well. And we need to smooth out the inside of our handle here because that is a mess. So smooth that out. And then we're going to start by pulling everything down. And like I said, don't worry about the mess. We're going to be covering up most of this. I wanted this blended color mainly for the inside. It's going to come in handy for the outside as well, but I have other plans to cover up all the yuckiness that is showing right now. So we just want to make sure we blend everything so everything is connected. And we have a big bubble in that handle. I'm going to take some of that off. That's too much clay there. That's why we have that big bubble. Too much clay. We have another one right there. I'm going to take some of that off. And then just blend it. Okay. So the outside of our cup is complete. I once again just want to kind of clean up the top here. I am really thrilled with this. I think it came out beautiful. So my next step, I'm going to put this upside down so I'm not, like I got a couple bubbles there. So check for bubbles. If you have bubbles, you could just kind of poke them and then press back down and that air should come out. All right, so now I have my brown clay. I have a light brown and then I have a dark brown. We are going to take our clays and we are going to condition them as well. So I like to roll one side thin to get through my pasta machine very easily. And then I'll run this through my thickest setting and then take it down to my second thinnest setting. Okay, so here's half of it. And I'm going to work with this one before I roll this out because there's a lot of clay here. All right, so my first thing I want to do is make my mountains. I want to keep this rough edge. I like the rough edge. And I am just going to kind of go with it. So what I think a mountain should look like, that's what I'm going to do. And I am going to take Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I want to position my largest one first. So I want that to be at the top, and that's how I'm going to position it. So slowly kind of go around, leave the roughness there. And then I will work my way around this way. I'm going to press that down. And let's cut this off right here. Cut that off right in the middle. Oops. I'm going to get rid of that tip. It's okay, leave that rough. And then I'm going to take this, oops. Come on, stay there. And I want to kind of line this all up inside and make sure the mountain looks like it's kind of continuing. So I will kind of cut this away and have my mountain go up. All right. And like I said, bear with me. I know it's messy right now, but it'll look better. So that's what we have. It looks like a chocolate sundae. Now, what I want to do is keep that piece that you had. This is going to give me my idea of how I need to cut my next piece. So now I'm going to roll this through my pasta machine. So now I have this piece rolled out. And now I know that I got to kind of follow. I want to do the opposite direction of here. So I want to kind of, let's see. Carefully lay this on top. And I'm hoping I'm not going to screw this up here. This is going to kind of give me my ideas of how I need to go. So I'm going to connect these. Now I just need to find where my big one was. Let's see. So my big swoop is, kind of feel like I might have to paste these together just to make it kind of easier to work with. So I'm going to go down. So I want this big one here. And nope. So now the trick is to find where I put them. All right, so I'm not going to do it that way because it's going to be too difficult. So what I'm going to do is just paste all my stuff together here. My mountains, I want one here. And just tear that away. I do not want it cut nicely. I just want it torn away. And let's kind of cut that area out. Okay, we're not going to worry about that. We'll put a cactus in that area. It's just kind of piece your pieces together. Just make them look like little mountains. Don't worry about if it's perfect because we're going to be putting this brown one back over. And let's do one over here. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. Get the air out. Press all your stuff down at this point. Make sure it's all sealed nicely. Get any air pockets out, because now you might end up having a lot putting clay on top of clay on top of clay. So just get all those little air pockets out. Now, last one. I want that like that. Okay. Okay, let me clean this craziness up a bit because everything is everywhere. All right, guys, so I'm not sure why, but my thing did not record, and I just now noticed that it wasn't recording. But this is what I got done so far. So I ended up just layering my pieces to make mountains. And then I took all my cactus clay and I cut those pieces out and then I layered them on. And these pieces here, these are just like little weeds that I'm doing. So I actually took my, what I call my scratching tool, and I just laid a piece, I took a piece of clay, laid it on my cup, and then I just went like this to give it the weeds, okay? So that's all you're going to do there. I am so sorry that it did not record. I don't know why it stopped. I don't know if I hit the button on accident or what I did, but so after you have your mountains on and your cactuses, you're going to get a lot of like little crumbs like this. So you're going to get a lot of tiny little pieces. Just take a paintbrush and brush them off. And they're going to be on, but after you bake it, it'll be easier to kind of remove them. So just kind of brush them off the best that you can. And then I'm taking my ball tool and I'm just marking up the top layer of my mountains here. So I'm not doing the bottom layer or the light brown, just the top layer. That's all I'm doing, just to give it a little bit more texture. Get a bigger one so you get different sizes. This will give it like a more rocky look. And this is what we got so far. And I am super happy with it. I think it looks beautiful. I'm hoping I can kind of sand this little section because that, I don't know, I got like really dark clay up there and it looks terrible. I am going to do something with the bottom here because I don't like the way it looks. I think it's dirty looking. So I am going to take my brown clay. I'm going to roll that out quick and then fill that all in. I'm actually going to use my bigger cutter. And I'm just going to kind of go right over all that yellow because it just doesn't look nice. I don't mind if a little yellow shows through, but I want some of that yellow to be covered up. Let's get rid of those bubbles. I'm actually going to kind of bump it up here. Let's get some texture in that. And then I'm going to smooth this all into one piece. We want this to really be looking like the mountains. Everything in the mountains is rough looking, so we want our piece to be rough. Okay, so now I'm going to take my green and I'm going to pull it down into that brown so it blends nicely together. Just take your brown as well, kind of scratch that up at the bottom. Just give it some of that weed look here. Go right over some of our cactuses as well. Just pull your green right into the mountain. Just pull it right into it. It'll blend real nice, and it's going to be messy initially, but that's okay. You see how cool that looks when you blend it like that? It's a messy process, but it really looks cool afterwards. Okay. Now my scratching is finished. And that's what we got so far. And I just want to add a couple tiny little flowers to my cactuses and maybe a sun up here, because I think that'll look really pretty. So for the sun, I'm just going to take a little bit of yellow and a tiny bit of red and blend this together through my pasta machine. All right, so that is what I like. So that's what I'm going to use. And I think this area, because it's got the yellow kind of there, I think that's going to look, I'm thinking kind of go like that. Yeah, that'll look really pretty. So we could go right up in that area. Do I want to add? Nah, I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, so now let me just get my little flowers. And for the flowers, I am literally just going to take, actually, you know what? Let me get my, all right, for my flowers, I'm going to use my tiny molds that I have. These are the cutest little flowers. I want to add a couple just here and there. All right, guys, so here we go. I'm going to stick this in my oven at 275 for an hour, and then we'll come back and finish this up. All right, guys, so here is my piece. And what I ended up doing was, after I got it out of the oven, I let it cool down completely, and then I went over it with my Dremel tool with the sander part, and I sanded down a bunch of this. So, like, I really wanted to blend in all my green and my browns together. And then I wanted to really give this like a rocky desert look. So, you know how, like, it's not always necessarily clean where the mountains are. So I really want to sand this down. I have a little bit of yellow paint here, and I just want to take a stiff brush and just get a little bit of yellow and kind of, let me get a little bit more in here. And I just want to brush a little yellow on here to give it more of the sunset look. So I'm not putting a lot on, just very little. Just to give it a little bit more, because this is a lot of red up here. And I felt like the yellow would kind of give it a little bit extra. So just kind of, you don't want a lot on your brush. You want to kind of give it that line. Leave some of it bright yellow, and then rub some of that in. And there we go, guys. For this area, I do want to clean this up, and I'm going to use paint to do that. And I do like the roughness of it, but I think it's a little too messy. And I got my oak moss brown here, so it's a nice dark one. And then I am just going to kind of cover up the areas that I don't like so much as the light brown showing. So I want the light brown to show in some areas, but not all of it. And that'll blend real nice together there. Go right up into the grass areas. Blend that nicely together so that some of the green is still showing. And we got some brown in there too. And I'll give it more of a weed look. Just kind of color it very lightly. We are not putting this on thick. You see how I'm just slightly going over this. My brush is almost dry with this brown paint. And that's going to make everything blend in real nice. And I think I'm going to put a little bit up on the mountains to kind of give it some shade. And we don't need a lot, just a tiny, tiny bit. And I'll put a tiny bit on the bottom so it all blends nicely together. And there we go, guys. Look how beautiful that is. That is absolutely gorgeous. And I love the inside. The inside is just stunning. So now the next thing we need to do is seal all of this. So I like to use my epoxy, and I have the art resin. So I'm going to read my directions. I'm going to go over everything, and then I am going to get it all prepped and ready to show you guys. All right, guys, so I mixed up my epoxy, and I'm going to get my gloves on, and I have my cup that I like to set my other glasses on. And what I ended up doing was, this is 1/2 ounce, and that's all you're going to need for this project. So get your gloves on, and you do not need necessarily a paintbrush unless you absolutely want to use a paintbrush. I am going to use my fingers. So I'm just going to kind of wipe this on here just to clean it up a bit. But I'm just going to pour a tiny bit on. Have your pad, like one of these, to your clay mat to set your cup on, because it may drip and you don't want that on your glass because it will not come off. If you have one of these clay mats, it peels off real nice. So I am just going to get my hard to reach areas first, and I'm not putting on a very thick layer. Putting on a thin layer, and I love using this stuff because it gets so shiny and it's so beautiful, and it really helps protect your work. I'm going to get into all these little nooks and crannies. And I like to kind of get around my edge on the top first, because this will be setting upside down. Make sure you get inside that handle real well. You don't want to miss any spots. I just love the way this looks already. The inside is amazing. That silk screen is beautiful. I've been wanting to get that for a while, and I finally caved in and got it, and I'm so glad I did, because I was envisioning how I was going to do this cup, and I just couldn't do it without the silk screen, because in my head I needed the inside to be done. I love seeing my glasses that have the inside work done. It just, to me, makes the piece so much more special. If you're having a hard time getting in between these, you could just take your glove and kind of with your little fingernail, get right in between all of those tiny little cracks. And as long as you're not pushing hard, you won't break through your glove. you'll be pretty safe on that. Just don't press too hard and you're okay. And I'm just kind of checking for bubbles as I'm doing this, making sure there are none. And I want to make sure I get all my hard to reach areas before I stick it upside down too. And honestly, I probably don't even need half an ounce of this. That'll definitely be, like, I'm only using probably half of this. So, and I'm kind of pushing this out from in between because I don't want a big thick pile up in between my pieces here. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Now I'll set it on my other cup here, and I will finish it off on the very bottom, making sure to get that coated as well. And I'm going to kind of just taper it down a bit. Remember, not too much. You don't want it dripping too much. Just taper it down. Within a half hour, just kind of look over this. If anything is dripping, take your stick and just wipe it, and you'll be okay. So the parts that are you're gonna see more drippage is gonna be right here on the handle. Make sure you check that because you don't want a big blob to kind of cure there, and then it's gonna look silly. And right around, obviously, the bottom of the rim, you'll have drippage as well. So just check that area. And one of the things I like to do is just kind of put my fingers and swoop down, because that'll make sure that there's not too much extra that's gonna drip. So if you just kind of swipe your finger down, it'll take any big globs that you might have running there and catch everything for you. And then you should be okay. It shouldn't be too bad. So now I'm going to let this sit overnight. And when it's completely cured and ready to go, I will come back, show you guys. And like I said, just make sure you're checking this a couple times before you leave it alone completely, just to make sure that you don't have drippage. And here is our finished cup, guys. Look how beautiful this is. I just love how shiny this is. It just came out so gorgeous. It really reminds me of Arizona. I am very, very pleased with this. I love the inside as much as the outside. I am very, very pleased with this. I really hope you guys enjoyed creating this with me. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye.